Hey guys, this is Reed Timmer with the tvnweather.com Severe Weather Bulletin. And different than the tornadoes that we've been seeing in the past, this is an ice storm. And we had tornadoes in this same area recently, just a few days ago, but that was replaced by extremely cold air behind that last system. Now we have another trough that's coming in, and that's pumping warm air up and over that very cold air at the surface, and it's setting the stage for a major ice storm from the lower Mississippi River Valley through the Ohio River Valley and even extending into the Northeast. And we'll touch on the science of it, the forecast, how much ice accumulation we expect, and just how bad those road conditions are going to get tonight through tomorrow morning. And the first map I'll show you is the 500 millibar analysis, and this is at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is a little bit earlier this evening. This is the jet stream, basically that river of air loft that controls our weather. And this is what we call a positively tilted trough. It's oriented from southwest to northeast. Neutral tilt trough, it's oriented perfectly vertically. And a negatively tilted trough is just the opposite. And this positively tilted trough here is a textbook ice storm setup for the southern central U.S. And as you can see, it's also a stagnant pattern. And so we move forward to noon tomorrow, and it looks very similar, except that the jet stream is even more potent. So overnight, we do expect a substantial ice storm. Right now, the surface temperatures are right near freezing. You can see just basically from northern Mississippi, northern Louisiana, up through western Tennessee into Kentucky, along the Ohio River toward the Pittsburgh area, temperatures are between 30 and 35 degrees, and so just a difference of 1 or 2 degrees here and there at the surface can be the difference between major ice accumulations and nothing at all. And if you have a 30 degree temperature with rain falling, I'd watch out because there's likely accumulating ice, and that could be happening on the roads and at the very least on the trees, where when trees fall down, they fall on power lines, the ice weights down the power lines, and you can get major power outages with these ice storms. And in some areas, we do expect a quarter to even up to 0.4 inches of ice accumulation. And this right here is an interesting graphic. This is the maximum temperature in the column of air at any given point. And if you remember from that previous slide, and I'll go back right now, these are the model analyzed surface temperatures. You can see temperatures right around freezing there in western Tennessee, for example, western Kentucky. And then when you advance forward, you can see that temperatures are above freezing at some point in that column in the atmosphere. And in this condition, most of the warm air is coming in just above the surface, about a kilometer or two above the ground. That gets pushed up and over that cold air at the surface. That rain falls into the sub-freezing temperatures right at the surface. It doesn't have time to freeze into sleet pellets. It's still water, and it falls into that sub-freezing environment. And as soon as it hits a tree branch, a power line, a road, it instantly freezes. And that's super cooled water that continues to accumulate. And if you get any of that convective rain or those thunderstorms that happen to move over that cold air at the surface, then you get extreme ice accumulation rates. And that's when you can get 0.5, 1 inches of accumulation, like we had back here in Oklahoma in 2007. That I'll show you some pictures of at the end of this Severe Weather Bulletin. And right here on the left, that shows the rain shield. And thankfully, most of the rain right now is east of the freezing line. Temperatures of 34, 37 degrees, and that very heavy rain. Some of it is convective. There'll probably be a couple claps of thunder and lightning. But on the backside, you'll see there in western Tennessee, just east of Memphis, you have temperatures of 31 with freezing rain. And there's still, it doesn't take much heavy rainfall and heavy freezing rain to accumulate and get very dangerous road driving conditions, and also ice accumulation on power lines and trees, and that can cause power outages. And one thing I noticed from the radar loop is that this rain shield is not advancing to the east. In fact, if anything, it's pushing back toward the northwest a little bit. You expect that as that warm advection gets lifted up and over that cold air at the surface. That causes lift, and that's what's creating this precipitation. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a pickup in the intensity in that sub-freezing air there in western Tennessee, western Kentucky, and also temperatures should continue to fall further east as well, as you still have northerly winds bringing the cold air down from the north. And on the right, that shows the watches and warnings, and the dark purple are the ice storm warnings, and that stretches from northern Louisiana, extreme southeast, Arkansas, northern Mississippi into western Tennessee. Shifts over to winter storm warnings in Kentucky. We're expecting probably the worst conditions. I would say the worst of this ice storm will be in northwest Tennessee, up into western Kentucky, including the Louisville, Lexington area, and then the blue color to the northeast. Those are winter weather advisories, where it should be more of a sleet, wintry mix type situation, which honestly is not as bad on the roads as the pure freezing rain, which it just can create an ice skating rink type situation. And right here is the surface map as of 8:45 p.m. The red line shows the freezing line. Anything to the northwest of that point could be falling as freezing rain, likely is. There are some locations that are reporting freezing rain right now. Lexington, Louisville, they're all reporting freezing rain, 31 degrees with some pretty heavy rainfall actually falling into that sub-freezing air. There's also some freezing rain already developing in southeast Ohio and northern West Virginia. And in western Tennessee, the Memphis area, they're also reporting freezing rain with 31 degrees. So those areas could be very dangerous driving conditions. There's been very cold air in place behind this system, so there is a chance that this ice could accumulate in the roadways, especially the bridges and overpasses, but especially in western Kentucky, up into western Tennessee. And if that precipitation shield can cross over that freezing line and get that heavier precipitation, and you get those quarter-inch to even half-inch ice accumulations, that's when we're going to get to serious power outages and big problems when that happens. More of an annoyance. But this is the model analyzed precipitation for a little bit earlier. This is 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. This shows this massive precipitation shield. And ahead of that positively tilted trough, you have a lot of warm air streaming north of the Gulf, getting forced up and over that cold air. We call this isentropic lift, and it creates this massive precipitation shield that stretches from Louisiana all the way through the Ohio River Valley, all the way to the Pittsburgh area. And it doesn't change much either. As we step forward in time in the models, this is 6 a.m. This is 12 hours later, and you can see that precipitation shield is still in the same location. And at 6 a.m. in the morning, temperatures in these locations are still below freezing at the surface, above freezing just above the ground. This will still be freezing rain. But after 6 a.m., we expect the warmth of the sun to increase the surface temperatures just enough to where the freezing rain should become regular rain, and the ice storm warnings will be discontinued. So this is definitely an overnight event, but the morning commute could be very treacherous, especially there in western Tennessee, into western Kentucky, and also areas that have already been hit by freezing rain in northeast Louisiana and northern Mississippi. I doubt there's too many ice trucks down in those locations, so I wouldn't be surprised if the roads are still treacherous there in the morning. And this is a little bit of the science on why this happens. This is called a sounding, and this is a vertical profile of the atmosphere. The red line there is temperature with height. The blue or the green is the moisture content. You can see it's very saturated. There's a lot of moisture. On the right are the wind barbs with height. The surface is on the bottom. And as you go up in elevation and altitude, that shows how the wind changes as well. And you can see that at the lower levels of the atmosphere, below 850 millibars, with the pressure on the left side of the graph, we typically in meteorology, we instead of defining it as feet or height above the ground, in terms of that, we define it in terms of pressure levels. And 850 millibars is about 1.5 kilometers above the ground. Between 700 and 850 millibars are usually where you get that warm advection that creates a warm layer just above the ground that we call an inversion. And basically the precipitation develops in that area or just above. It falls into that warm layer that's above freezing. The freezing line is the blue line that I marked on this graph. And as the rain falls into that above freezing air, it becomes liquid. And right near the ground, you see that very narrow area that falls below freezing. And once that liquid falls into that cool air, and it makes contact with a solid object, it instantaneously freezes, and that's when you get ice accumulation. And the wind barbs at the right, you see the northerly flow. That's that cold advection that's bringing that very narrow layer near the surface of below freezing air. And above that, you see the jet stream, especially near the top of the atmosphere. You have winds 50 to 100 knots. That's that really strong river of air, the trough of low pressure that is responsible for this whole entire situation. that the power is going to be out for probably weeks. In our case, it was 2 weeks. And here are some frame grabs from that ice storm. This is just outside of my house. And the tree damage it took years to clean up. You could still see remnants of these ice storms. And you could see the weight of the ice accumulation on the trees, how it drags them down, and the branches will snap, and they'll hit power lines and take those out. And our particular house, we were without power for 2 weeks. We had the fire going. It got really cold behind that system, and we had to stock up on canned goods, and we were in survival mode for a few weeks. So these ice storms can be very serious. And 2007 seemed to be the year of the ice storm in Oklahoma. There was another one in January that hit eastern Oklahoma, especially. Lake Eufala was without power for a long time, and it sets these beautiful scenes, of ice just sparkling in the sunlight on the trees. But at the same time, you're without power, and it's also a nuisance. But there is a positive to these ice storms. Is the day after, when the sun comes out, you'll see some of the most beautiful sights you've ever seen. Great photographic opportunities. And here's another picture from Lake Eufala, and this shows you that don't try to drive out there. I mean, it's very dangerous. You're going to spin off the road, cause accidents. There's going to be pileups, and during these ice storms, just stay off the roads. That's the best thing you can do. Stay in, and tell you what, watch 12 episodes of Tornado Chasers on tvandweather.com/on-demand. Sit in front of the fire and stay safe, and wait until the roads get cleared off. So this concludes the tvandweather.com Severe Weather Bulletin, and we'll be trying to do these on a more daily basis as we get our production studio dialed in here at TVN headquarters. And stay safe out there in the south. I know that you get these ice storms quite a bit, but honestly not as far south as northern Louisiana. So those people that aren't used to these ice storms, anybody for that matter, don't take any chances. Don't drive. Wait until it clears up. So never stop chasing, but tonight through tomorrow morning, there's really nothing to chase. Just let this ice storm play out, and stay in the safety of your own homes.